it's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Michael Austin Brown, all the way from Louisville, Kentucky. He is a seasoned dentist, entrepreneur, and web developer with over a decade of experience in the healthcare space. Currently, he and his wife, Amy, proudly serve as the owners of Hertzborn Dental Care in Louisville, Kentucky. Most recently, he also launched the Ask4Review.com website and app. Combining his expertise in both dentistry and programming enables Dr. Brown to develop leading-edge applications that improve workflow for dental practices of all sizes. Man, great to have you on the show today.
It's a great honor to be here with you today.
You know, I actually spent a summer in Louisville.
Did you?
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
So
what were you doing?
My dad, so in Wichita, when I turned 10, he started, he went from delivering bread to buying Sonic drive-in franchises. And he had 5 in Wichita, and that was just, he could manage that. I learned so many lessons from my dad, not only on what he did right, but on what his biggest failures were. And he had 5 in Wichita, so he had a management team. It was all going great. But then he wanted to go national. So he went north and put one in Abilene, Kansas, and Kearney, Nebraska. He went south, put one in Childress, Texas, and he went east and put one in Louisville. And to drive from Wichita to Louisville is how long? How long do you think? But anyway, when we would drive to Louisville, we would go, I know we'd always go past the St. Louis Arch. Does that make sense? Or is that kind of on the way or not?
64.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just can't manage something that takes you 12 hours to drive to Childress. I think it was 6 hours to Kearney, Nebraska. I think it was like a 12-hour trip. Did you find 10 hours and 24 minutes according to MapQuest? You just can't manage something that far away. Yeah. And now I see it in dentists where they'll have a dental office, and then they'll put they'll have one in Phoenix, and it's concentrated on implants, so they'll go put a satellite office in like Albuquerque and in LA, and it's like you can't. That's a whole different level of logistics. But I gotta tell you something about your business, and thanks for coming on the show, because I've podcasted probably every practice management consultant who's done it for a decade in America, and every single one of them said on this show that when they come into a dental office, the first day they just want to review what's going on. So they're just going to come in there for a half day or full day and just see what's going on in this office. They all agree. The only thing they all agree, they agree on a couple things. They always agree that the number one problem in every dental office that's ever brought them in is they don't realize they have a toxic employee, sometimes 2 or 3. So there's always someone that's rolling their eyes and killing morale. And here's the doctor trying to motivate the team, and then they got this toxic, cancerous person. And number 2, they've never witnessed someone asking for a referral. They've never seen it one time on the first day. So you're actually started a business about something dentists can't do. They just can't find it in them to say, hey, Mike, would you mind leaving me a review? So why did you go into a business? Don't you think it would have been better to go into a business selling unicorns and tooth fairies?
Well, this was my second choice. It's challenging, but it's not rocket science. You really just need to ask a patient for a review, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, delegate it to a staff member, because honestly, they're spending more time with the patient than you are in a lot of cases. So, and we train our team to look for cues. So when a patient says that they have a great experience, you're a wonderful dentist, that's your cue to jump in and say, well, we really like patients like you, and we'd like to have more like you. Would you mind spreading the word for us and writing a review? And then the second thing you do is make it easy for them to leave a review. It's not that difficult. And I just didn't feel like it should cost us thousands of dollars a year to get reviews. So that's was the main motivator for creating it. And I made it for myself, and I'm just trying to share it with other practices now.
Well, I'll tell you, when you go on Shark Tank, or you go on, or you talk to Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, Mr. Wonderful, Warren Buffett, they always say, when you're going to start a business, what's different about you than anyone else? And you should have a protective moat around your business. Is it a patent? Is it a, but when you're the low cost provider, You know, when you're the IKEA of furniture, the Walmart of distribution, the Costco of selling wine. I mean, when you're the did you know Costco sells more wine than anybody in the world?
I believe it.
Yeah, but when you're how many review sites are there, and how many of them? What is the average price per month, and what is your price per month?
I mean, it ranges. It's all over the place, but a good average is $200 to $400 a month, and our app's free. So
How do you make money on a free app?
I'm not trying to make money. This is something that I enjoy doing. So I created it for, like I said, for myself, and now I'm letting others use it so I can get feedback to make it better for myself and hopefully help some other people too.
Right on. So, God, that's crazy. So, yeah, you know, a lot of people, they always think they're going to start all these business in dentistry,
Sure.
and that everybody will sign up for these $200 minimum contracts. Like look at the oral
Sure.
scanners. Like they'll tell an oral scanner, well, if you get an oral scanner, you want to buy impression material. Well, how you buy an oral scanner? The software update is $200
Right.
a month.
Exactly.
That's $2,400 a month. So 3M wants me to buy their TrueDepth scanner, and I'll save money on Improgum. Well, shit, I don't buy $2,400 of Improgum a year, and I've been using that stuff for 30 years.
Right.
So now I got to buy a $17,000 intraoral scanner, and then I got to sign up for $200 a month into total. And so by the time you get your $200 software update for your oral scanner and your $200 update for all these different things, next thing you know, you got $3,000-$4,000 a month and all these software licenses, and it starts adding up quick.
And that's kind of my point too, because we started out with a closet full of $1,000 gadgets, and now we progressed just like everything else. Now we have a bundle of services, except the services are $1,000 a month, but we have to pay for those every single month for our lifetime. So it's gotten worse. So the software has actually experienced feature creep, or what I like to call Me Too features. So they keep adding features to justify a price point. So they all start to overlap, and they get so complex that you really don't know everything the software does. So that's kind of how I built the app. Is I stripped away all the extra stuff and just focused on getting reviews, quality reviews, and that's kind of the main focus.
Well, I'll tell you, the what kind of a business model is it called, where you set it up to where you automatically bill the credit card every month? What is that business model called?
Just recurring billing.
Because, you know, like gyms have built their life on it. I mean, they know when they sign you up for a gym, they're going to ding your credit card every month, and you give them permission. They know the average American only goes for 8 months. Then they know the average American takes about 42 months to unsign off their deal. So from 8 to 42, they're dinging you every month, and they don't have to provide any service. And if everybody that had a gym membership showed up at the same time on that one day, the fire department would come and close the place down for exceeding their maximum occupancy. So that is just amazing. And I love what you all say. To justify the $200 a month, they start doing what you just called feature creep, where they keep adding these psychological things to make you think it's worth giving them $200 a month, $2,400 a year. And I mean, and hell, think how much money that is. If you practice from 25 to 65, $2,500 a year times 40 years, that's $100,000.
There you go. We save you $100,000 right here.
Yeah, you saved $100,000 on Dentistry Uncensored with Dr. Austin Brown from Louisville, Kentucky. So why did you do that? You're just a nice guy, or is this just your hobby, or?
I'm a nice guy, but I enjoy doing it. So I spend all my time working on computers when I'm not doing dentistry. So it's fun for me.
And what do you? Okay, so walk my homies through this. They're at Ask4Review.com. The numeral 4. Ask4Review.com. So what are they going to find when they go to Ask4Review.com?
So they'll see the website, and there's a couple links. If you click on the app link, you will it'll take you to a download page, and you can download the app from there, and you can create an account. And once you have everything set up, it only takes a couple minutes. Then it consists of a button you click on. It creates a review message asking the patient for a review, and it includes a link to one of the major review sites. And then you send the message, and it's a text or email. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. It's not too complicated.
So you think that just explained it enough to them?
It's a good start, and then there's an explainer video on the website. And if they have questions, there's a ticketing system, or they could call me.
And you also got a video.
Yes.
Now, do you have that on YouTube where you can email that to me and Ryan?
Sure.
And Ryan, should we splice that in right now or at the end of the show? Right now. Yeah, so we're going to splice that in right now.
Reviews matter, and Ask4Review helps you get more reviews with 3 easy steps. First, register for a free account. After registering, log in. The next step is to generate your review buttons. Select the Google tab to get started on your buttons. Then, select or enter a custom message for your review request. In the box below, enter and select your business name. Next, click Generate Button. The final step is to send the message. Use the Ask4Review app or go to the Ask4Review website on your phone. Click the Send Text or Send Email button to generate your message, including a link to your review site. When a customer clicks the link, it will take them straight to your review site. Join Ask4Review today for free and start getting more reviews.
And by the way, happy birthday to you, buddy.
Oh, thanks a lot. This is like the greatest birthday present.
This is a birthday present. You know you're a dental nerd if coming on Dentistry Uncensored is a birthday present.
Definitely, and I take that. Yeah.
So how old are you now?
38.
38. Gosh darn, 38. That's still a baby, man. I'm 54. I can't even remember when I was 38. That's how young you are. When you ask for a review, now I'm sure you millennials are good. I believe. Are you a millennial? Were you born after 1980?
1979.
So then you're not a millennial. So then what are you technically?
I have no clue. Generation X?
Yeah, you got to be Generation X because boomers, a boomer, is 45 to 64. I was born in 62. And then millennials are 80 and over. So I think from 65 to 79, that's a Generation Xer, is it? But when you're writing a review, you're talking about a review on Google or Yelp or where should the reviews be mostly?
Okay, so there are a couple major review sites. Of course, Google, Facebook, Yelp are the big players. If you don't have any reviews, I would start with Google. They're the largest search engine, but Yelp filters out your reviews pretty hard, so it's difficult to get reviews on Yelp. And Facebook is a good place to have your ads or your reviews.
Okay, riddle me this: if you go to Dental Town, and I wish everybody, have you seen that search bar feature on Dental Town where you can do a search?
Sure, yeah, I use it all the time.
Use it because that damn thing cost me $50,000 from Google, and when you want to update it, it's not like a software update. You got to buy the new box, and if you walk into Dental Town, all the servers are black. But the Google box is yellow and it says Google in fancy colors and all that stuff. But whenever I sit there in my program and I say, let's update that thing, he said, all right, but it's 50 grand. But anyway, so I want you to use it just because I paid 50 grand for it. But if you search Yelp, every thread on Yelp is a bitching, moaning, complaining. I mean, there's not a happy camper on the Yelp thread, but you don't see that when they're talking about Google reviews or Facebook reviews. So why does no one complain about a Google review? And why does pretty much every thread take a negative tone when they start talking about Yelp? First of all, do you agree with that sentiment?
It's a major thing, and I think it has to do a lot with the filter they have. So the filters are set up to let more negative reviews through than good reviews. So it's just a matter of filtering. because Google reviews, they accept a higher percentage of your reviews.
So why would Google not accept a review? Because they know it's my mom writing it for me?
They have their algorithm and they don't share it. So.
Huh. Well, I wish they'd write an algorithm and explain why. If I get on Google and I go to Louisville and I do a search for a Mexican restaurant near your office, it'll find it in 0.0001 seconds. But they can't seem to realize that my Gmail from a Nigerian prince who needs to transfer $56 million to my bank account. It's like, how does Google not know that? I mean, can't they just add to their algorithm Nigerian prince? I mean, can't
priorities.
What's that?
Priorities.
Oh my God! It's like the minute you read a large sum of $50 million, and it doesn't, and you doesn't even waste your time to block them because they just keep coming every day.
Sure.
At this point, I think I'm just going to move to Nigeria for once and for all and find my $50 million. So you'd say Google is the most important. Who would be the second most important, Facebook or Yelp?
Well, it depends on what area, because I'm sure in your area out west, it's Yelp is probably larger than it is in Kentucky at this point. I mean, it changes over time, but you just kind of need to look at your own market and determine.
Yeah, man, I love Louisville. So what I did, so here was my life. So I'm in Wichita in high school every summer. So between freshman and sophomore, junior, senior, I went on an opening crew to open this new sign. So I spent one summer in Abilene, Kansas, one in Kearney, Nebraska, one in Childers, Texas, and one in Louisville, Kentucky. And I swear to God, that was so fun because we left right when school was out. Back then, my birthday's August 29th. So yours is August 10th. And mine's August 29th. August 29th, my whole childhood, it was still summer. I mean, like right now in Phoenix, all the schools have already started. But when I grew up, my birthday was always still in the summer. And that was the weird thing about my birthday is that I knew when it was my birthday that the next weekend was school would start, And, and then it would get out, school would get out like, I think, first week of May or something. But anyway, the day school was out, me as a cook and a car hop and a receptionist and my dad would take off and he'd get us going and, he'd come back and check on us. But I'd stay there the whole summer. And it was just, God, that was fun. I spent a whole summer in Louisville. And it's right next to Indiana, too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's just right across the river. So it's we like the city a lot.
Yeah, and I want to do that. I've done Ironman 3 times, and all my Ironman friends have done the Ironman Louisville, and they say that.
Yeah, definitely. That's huge.
It's huge out there because it's a river swim.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why everybody loves it?
What's that?
Do you know why?
No, why?
Because you're swimming downstream, so you get a rockin' hot time. Because it's really not fair to compare a Louisville Ironman time to a Tempe, Arizona, where you're swimming in a lake. And everybody loves the Louisville and then they pray for rains and they pray that they'll let more water out of the dam and all this stuff like that. But, everybody's talking like, it's a 3-mile-an-hour current, Well, an hour swim, that's significant, But, yeah, I want to do that sometime. And then it'll be free because I won't stay in a hotel. I'll just stay with you and Amy for free.
Yeah, come on over. We'll have you. You come for the Derby, too.
Are you ever going to do that Louisville Ironman?
I don't think I'll get in the Ohio River. It's a little polluted.
Is that what it is? It's the Ohio River?
Yeah.
And it goes all the way to the Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So I want to we don't have to talk about this. You don't want to, but sure. I want to talk about also your practice is 10 years old, right?
And it's older, but yeah, a little bit.
And you met your wife in dental school. She was 2 years ahead of you. And
sure.
Right now, there's I keep asking on my show, and I'll ask it again now. Shoot me an email, howard@dentaltown.com, and tell me how old you are because, I can't really tell who's all listening to this. And I have been blown away. I mean, I knew Dentaltown on the website has 250,000 registered dentists from 220 countries, every country on earth. But when we came out with the app, when Steve Jobs put the internet in the phone and we came out with the app, it was downloaded 50,000 times, but it's pretty much entirely by people born after 1980. So it was a millennial thing. So, I mean,
sure.
I got strong data that shows the baby boomers like me are on the desktop. The millennials are on the app, and on the podcast, I knew it was a millennial thing just by the emails. But I started asking for emails. What surprised me was the number of emails that they're still in undergrad and they're in D1 or D2. I mean, the other day I had 30 emails that were from D2 or D1, and I'm sitting there thinking,
That's amazing.
I mean, when I was in dental school, it seemed like I was the only guy talking about starting your business after dental school. I mean, it seemed like when I was in dental school, everybody's just worried about getting through their finals and getting into clinic and then graduating. And so the point I'm talking about is right now, there's probably a lot of people listening to this that are dating their honey bunny in D2 or D3. And so you married a woman dentist from your school, and you've been married 10 years. What advice would you give these young kids dating in dental school?
Just it's an amazing experience, and just take care of your spouse, and try not to let the stress get to you, and just hang in there, because everything's going to be okay. Just figure out what you want to do in life and make it happen, and just do it, and don't make excuses. So
now, do you practice with your wife, or did you guys practice together, or do you practice separately?
Well, right now we manage the practice, so we've kind of moved out of dentistry. I practice dentistry a couple of days a week in public health.
So you own the dental office, but you and your wife don't see patients there?
No. So my wife is recently disabled. So
okay, so she's retired.
Yeah, she's retired. Yeah.
And then, but you still own the dental office.
Yeah, we still own the office, and we manage it together.
You manage it together, and then you work a couple of days a week in public health?
Yep. And then I do computer programming. I like diversity.
Wow, well, I'm so sorry that your wife got disabled. Is she all right?
Yeah, she's fine. Life has never been better. We just had to transition and transform our roles in the practice, but we were able to help it, and Dentaltown helped a lot. We learned a lot of good information, and a lot of consultants, and it's been an amazing experience.
So you use some consultants from Dentaltown?
Sure, yes.
Any of them that you want to give a shout out and a plug to? I'm sure they love it.
Dental Intel, Chris, and everyone there, Winston.
Now, okay, so Dental Intel, that's so when you can manage the practice that you have, you're using the dashboard from Dental Intel.
Exactly. We manage everything by the numbers. So it was a hard process to go from running the practice based on emotions to transitioning over to numbers, and but it's a good thing to do.
Ryan, what number was that podcast we did? So go back to Dentistry Uncensored. We did the Curtis Marshall. Is that the owner, Ryan? Was that the founder? Curtis Marshall was number 21. And episode 284 was Watch the Numbers with Weston Lunsford and Kirk Bernhardt. And you know that Kirk guy is smarter than shit. I mean, look at that bald cue ball head of his. I mean, the smartest people in dentistry always are a cue ball.
Exactly.
And, that guy, God, you look at me and him on that deal, that just looks like two cue balls laying on a table. But so it's amazing though. But the software programs are just really lacking in any managerial economics, financial accounting, managerial accounting. I mean, it's
pretty sad what the practice management systems won't do. And that's why you have dentists creating little programs like me, or other companies coming up with programs that integrate with our database to pull the data out to actually do something useful. And I wish they would do it all, because it would only be one company to deal with, but they don't. So
here it is. It's dentalintel.com. I should have been able to figure that one out. You know, you're a walnut brain when you forget that Dental Intel's www.dentalintel.com. So how much does Dental Intel cost a month?
It's reasonable. It's definitely worth what we paid for it. So the return's been far exceeded what we pay.
But you don't remember exactly what it cost?
I think they have a floating schedule for different
sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. So what else other help did you get from Dental Town?
Just
Any other
everything.
consultants or anything, or?
It's from managing employees to um, different services to use, and just anytime that I had a question, you can get on there and ask someone, or it's like an encyclopedia. You can find anything that you could ever want to know. Someone's probably already asked it in one shape or another. So it's a good resource to have. So thank you for creating it.
No, it's just like you doing this deal. I mean, actually you created this for yourself. Ask4Review, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, and Dental Town was a total selfish act for me. I would put my 4 boys down to bed, Eric, Greg, Ryan, and Zach, and they'd be in bed by 8:30, and then I would sit there in the chair and implode because I did a root canal and it swelled up. You're
Yeah,
sitting there in the chair wondering if you shouldn't have done it in one appointment, or I
sure.
put him on Pen VK. Should have added metronidazole, or you're just
Mhm.
sitting there, and if anybody that loved me, if I called my dad, he would just say, well, tomorrow I'll say a prayer, at church, or my mom would
Right.
say a rosary, or my sisters would say a novena, and I just wanted to talk to a dentist,
Mhm.
and then when I realized that you could the internet, that was in 1998, that we could actually set up a message board, and I could just, yeah, all I want to do is just talk to another dentist and be able to post an x-ray and a picture. And I just wanted to talk, to a Dr. Austin Brown and say, what do you think? And maybe if all you said is, it'll be okay. I needed that,
Right.
So I
Pat you on
just
the
needed
back.
that. And my walnut brain was so small, I figured best case scenario, maybe like the last Thursday of every month, there'd be this little Dental Town study club, and I could meet with like maybe 20 guys online and talk about cases. And so that's what I
Yeah.
actually thought was like the best case scenario, like 20 guys one night, the first Monday of every month or the last Thursday of
Right.
every month. And the first month, 1,000 people signed up for it. And I thought, okay, I'm
That's
not the only
amazing.
one sitting in a chair coughing up blood clots. There's someone else out there, and
Yeah.
it's
And
just been great. I mean, it's just been great. And that's what the internet does well. It connects people who are very far away from each other. Like right now, you're 2,000 miles away from me, and we can Skype. I mean, it's just amazing how technology has come. I want to ask you some. Every generation, if you read literature, every generation thinks the next generation is all wrong and society's going the wrong way and it's all going to hell in a handbasket. And then each generation is better, better, better. When people talk about the sky falling and all this stuff like that, I mean, I remind them, like, just flip back 100 years. So this is 2017. Let's just go back to 1917. We already would
mhm.
have had the Spanish influenza, which dropped 5% of all Americans. 1 in 20
Okay.
Americans dropped dead. And now, what do you have 100 years later? All these people thinking vaccines are crazy and they're a communist plot and they don't work, and these schools are insane for making you get immunized. Do you realize in Australia you get immunized or you leave? I mean,
Wow.
that country doesn't screw around. If you want to walk around and say, "Well, I don't believe in vaccines," they're like, "Well, we don't believe you should live in Australia. So bye."
Yeah.
I can't believe, people just don't know history. I mean, when they came out with the polio vaccine, when my mom and her 3 brothers were growing up in Parsons, Kansas, they closed down the public swimming pools for years because people thought, well, maybe they're catching it in the swimming pool, and they didn't know where it's coming. But when Salk vaccinated himself first, and then he
Mhm.
vaccinated his research volunteers, when they came out with that, it was parades. And when
Mhm.
they came out with the vaccine, people were lined up for blocks. There were balloons, parades. I mean, that guy was like, that was like landing on the moon. And now you have and then the flu shot, and then you have 100 years later, and 25% of Americans believe that vaccines are crazy. And then
Yes.
also by 1917, you already had a World War I. I mean, right now, you're talking about ISIS, and you have
Mhm.
an isolated terrorist activity. Well, shit, World War I, it was full scale mowing down 100 million people in Europe. So I mean,
Right.
so it just keeps getting better and better and better. But a lot of baby boomers look at you millennials, and I know you're not a millennial, but they say, well, millennials don't want to own their own practice. That's what's
Mhm.
fueling corporate. That's why Heartland and Pacific and Aspen are kicking butt, because the millennials, they don't want to own their own business. Do
Sure.
you believe that they went to 8 years of college to be an employee at Aspen, or do you think that they're an employee at Aspen because well, what do you think their mindset? What percent of the graduating class of 2017 has no wants of working for themselves someday, do you believe?
I think a majority of them feel like they don't have options. I feel like they feel pigeonholed because of the debt. They don't see options to, or they don't want to take the risk of what they feel is risk of taking on more debt to buy a practice. Because, I mean, what's the debt level up to now? Like 350 grand for dental education or more.
Mm-hmm.
And then to purchase a practice on top of that, it's too much weight on them. So
it's an emotional reason, really, because
emotional,
if
yes.
they're 350 in debt, the fastest way to pay that down would to buy a cash flow of a big practice for 750,000. So if you're 350,000 in debt, the fastest way to pay that down would be to go all the way to $1 million in debt, and then you could pay that whole thing off in 10 years. But if you're 350,000 in debt and you go get a job at Aspen, unless you were smart and moved back in with your parents and drove a $1,000 beat up car and just put your entire paycheck towards your principal, you're probably not going to pay it off in 10 years.
Yeah, but no one's telling the students that. They're getting marketed to by the big box companies to come work for them, and they don't have to worry about anything, just come work for us. And no one's saying you can pay your debt off, you can have a great life, you can actually be better off if you purchase your own practice. So it's a good message, so that hopefully you can get it out to more people.
Yeah, well, what would your advice be? If you were given a commencement graduating class, because you're a lot closer to ground zero than I am. I mean, I'm this May 11th, just this last May, was my 30-year anniversary from school, and September 21st. Ryan, you told me the other day, how many days was it from May 11th to September 21st? I don't know. Will you figure out again? But I mean, I got out of school May 11, and September 21, I opened up. And now I see these millennials that they just keep pushing back around. They're like, well, maybe I should do a GPR. Or maybe I should go work on the Indian Reservation for 2 years. Or maybe I should join the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Or maybe I'll just go work at Aspen. And it's like, well, maybe you should just open up your damn dental office.
Right.
I mean, do you and Amy have any kids?
We do. We have 2 kids.
Well, I tell people, there's never a good time to have 2 kids.
No,
I mean,
there's
you're going to
not.
sit around and think, well, when would be the best time to have a baby human grow from 0 to 10 pounds in my belly, and then need 24-hour maintenance for 20 years? There's no good time to have a kid.
We went to school, we planned everything out, and then we were faced with reality, life, and life. You can't plan everything, so it's scary. And to have something known like a secure job and income to pay off your debt levels, it's comforting to a lot of people. But if they can know that they can own their own practice, if they pick the right choices to set themselves up for success, just pick a place where they need a dentist, pick a visible location, answer your phone. If you can't answer your phone, have somebody do it for you, and then take care of your patients. Don't lose them out the back door, because it's a lot easier to grow your practice if you're retaining all your patients and using them as a referral engine to get more patients than to churn your practice over every couple of years and not add any hygiene chairs or stay stagnant. So it's and die by atrophy. It's just set yourself up for success by making the right choices.
I like data. I like numbers to prove a point. And the reason I think they should open up their own office is because it doesn't matter if you're talking about corporate or if you're talking about private practice, employee associate dentist turnover is off the charts. When you look at, there's only 3 publicly traded dental offices where they have to show you their numbers, and if the numbers are wrong, it's go to jail stuff. You know what I mean? And there's 2 in Australia. There's 300 Smiles and Pacific Dental Group. Pacific Dental Group, and their deal, they say, okay, we have 72 locations. We have 350 dentists working for us, and 20% of the dentists turnover every year.
It's
And
amazing.
when you look at all my friends that are my age in Phoenix, I mean, I've had associates for 30 years, and for every one that stays with you 7 to 10 years, there's another one that only stays a year or two.
Hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is this: that if you think becoming an associate is such a great job, then why do all the associates always quit their job? Why are they always changing their job? Do you see associate turnover high in your area?
We do with the big box, the larger corporate chains. Not so much in the general practices that that really take care of their associates. And like us, we've been blessed with a great associate, and we couldn't ask for anyone better to work with. So um, yeah, that's kind of what I see in our area.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a bunch that stayed with me for a decade, but for every one where someone stayed with you for a decade, someone
Hmm.
else stayed a year. Then they decided they wanted to start their own, or they want to do this, or
Sure.
they're going to move back across the country, or the big boxes. They're one of the there's 35 corporate chains that have 50 or more locations. Some of them, their average associate only stays 1 year, and
Wow.
some of the other
That's
chains, it's considered a success if you can keep your average associate 2 years. My point being this: that if becoming an associate was so great, then the associate turnover wouldn't be such an issue in private practice and corporate. Corporate's bigger and more transparent, so everybody points to them. I
hmm
think it's so unfair because they'll point to like corporate lives under a microscope.
Oh, sure.
So if they slightly build Medicaid or Medicare or something wrong or whatever, it would be on the front page of a paper. But there's
Hmm.
5 dentists across the street from him where the dentist
Right.
doesn't even know how his receptionist is billing Medicaid, and half
Hmm.
of it's wrong. And very rarely does some dentist go to jail because his receptionist was billing Medicaid or Medicare wrong for 30
Yeah.
years, and he doesn't even know how to bill Medicaid. He doesn't even know how to bill Medicare. I mean, I saw this one fraudulent case. It was in St. Joe, Missouri, and I swear to God, this dentist lost his license, and he didn't even have the wherewithal to go up to the computer and generate a Medicaid billing. I mean, how could this guy be guilty? He didn't. He couldn't have done it if you put a gun to your head, because he had no idea how the practice management software worked, what the codes were, and his poor receptionist. She was never trained, and then it turned out that
Hmm.
she was fraudulently billing Medicare for 30 years, and it was like, well, do you want to go to jail or turn over your license? And he just said, well, here's my license, and
That's sad.
yeah, and some have gone to jail. There's a guy out there on the speaker circuit. Who'd we podcast interview that went to jail? Roy Shelburne. Did you ever hear that
Yes.
podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean Roy Shelburne. He went to the what do they call it? The what do they call the prison? The slang for the prison? The big box or um yeah, he went to prison. I think it was Ron Shelburne. Roy Shelburne. What number was that? So 391 was the dentist. Yeah. Um, Roy Shelburne, Shelburne. I think he was near you. Was he in Tennessee? You're in Kentucky, wasn't he?
Kentucky.
Tennessee?
Yes.
Was he in Kentucky?
I don't think so.
He was around there, Kentucky,
Yeah.
Tennessee, something around there. But yeah. So my deal is just do it. I mean, if being an associate was the best thing in the world, then they'd all get a great job at Heartland and Aspen and Pacific, and they'd all stay there for 10 or 20 years. That's just clearly what we're not seeing. And I got some very very good friends in the same Ahwatukee, really good friends, and it's the same thing. For every associate that stays with you, 5 or 10, the other one's a revolving door. So
Hmm.
so something is not quite right in that. What other advice? The one thing I like about you marrying Amy is there's a lot of research floating around saying that there's when you look around the world, there's 7 billion people. The
Hmm.
love marriage where you go fall in love with someone, that's a rare event, and in America it's a 50% failure rate. But you go to the
Hmm.
bigger countries like Asia and Africa where it's an arranged marriage, and I think Americans have they don't understand arranged marriage because they think it means your mom says you got to marry you got to marry Susie Q. And that's not what it
Sure.
is. Arranged marriages will set up the leads. So you'll only date qualified leads. You're not going to go to the bar and date someone because she looks great in a pair of Levi's. We're gonna set leads. So you end up marrying someone from a lead, and those guys only have a 10% failure rate. So obviously your mom and dad are a lot smarter than you when you're 20 and in heat. And but when you look at America and you say, well, where is the divorce rates that are as successful as the arranged marriage rates? It's when both spouses have a master's degree or higher in the same field. So if two CPAs, two dentists, two chiropractors, when they marry, it's like a 9% failure rate. So you just lowered your chance of paying out a huge divorce claim, which is your student loans on steroids, by marrying someone because you have something in common. So now you have two kids in common, but you have a profession in common. And I tell people whenever I lecture in dental schools, and I do that a lot because I Skype into their class. My God, I tell them the most important thing you should do in dental school is find your spouse there before you leave. So how did you find Amy if she was 2 classes ahead of you? I remember when I was in dental school, the 2 classes ahead of us, they wouldn't even talk to us. We were young and dumb and low lives. We weren't cool enough to talk to the class 2 years ahead of us.
Yeah, I was the same way, but the library is a kind of a good place to find a spouse. So,
I imagine talking in the library, you would have gotten in trouble, not married.
Yeah, that's
What were you slipping her notes?
No, I just walked up to her and talked to her. So I thought that would be a good idea at the time.
Well, I mean, when you look at the divorce rates, they divorce over 3 things. It's a third over money, a third over sex, a third over substance abuse. But when you drill down in those deals, it's just because they're not communicating about that. They're not communicating about money. They're not communicating about, it really bothers me that you come home every night and drink a 6-pack. And then 10 years later, now it's a 12-pack. And then 10 years later, it's a case. And there was never a discussion that I don't like this. You know what I mean? And it just blows up. And I would imagine that you both going to college for 8 years to learn about this one thing called dentistry, and then to have a joint dental office where you're both, it's something you can do together. It's like growing a garden together. Yeah. I mean, your 2 kids are a garden, and you're both jointly raising that, and that's going to be a big source of joy. And then you have this business that you both co-manage. It's just a great idea.
It's important to know when to cut it off too, because you have to leave work at work and then home life begins. So so that it doesn't become all encompassing, because that can lead to issues too. So just to have a little bit of balance in your life.
Yeah, I like that. Winston Churchill's definition of a fanatic. So a fanatic is someone who, A, they won't change their mind, but B, they won't change the subject. And a non-fanatic is like I know with my 2 older sisters that are nuns. I mean, I know they're going to never change their views on anything, and I can agree to disagree. But where it becomes insane is when you can't change the conversation. You know what I mean? And so what do you and your wife do when you're managing a dental office and you want to add a $150,000 chair-side milling machine called Cerac, and she does not want to spend $150,000 on? First of all, did you do chair-side milling there?
We had a Cerac for a while, and then we moved away from it. But that was a discussion.
Talk about that, because that is a huge decision. That's $150,000. That's half your student loan debt with one machine. And all the noise is that chair-side milling is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But talk about the fact that you went down that road and did a U-turn.
Okay, so that was during the boom where money was free flowing, and we were making decisions based on emotions. Like, we wanted to be the best, we wanted to have the best, and we bought the best. And then we had to pay for the best, and then the recurring service charges on it. And it just got to a point where that we just didn't see the return on having it. So we moved away from it and just went back to traditional Crown and Bridge. So
Yeah, but I have to disagree with you because every convention I go to, there's a bunch of dentists up there saying it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
maybe for some people,
How
but
could you be so wrong?
maybe I'm wrong, but that for our practice, it just wasn't the right fit for us at this time. Maybe down the road we'll go back maybe to scanning crown preps, but at this moment in time, we just can't justify the cost.
Well, again, there's truth in numbers. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you tell me that you're going to graduate and you're going to go be an associate for a private practicing dentist or corporate, I'm just going to tell you the numbers that okay, the average dentist who has that idea is going to quit after a year or two. So, why are you going to be the happy associate when you can't get two dentists to agree that today is your birthday? I mean,
Sure.
go to Dental Town. You can't get them to agree on anything. So when your
No.
boss starts telling you this and you don't agree with that, and I'll give you as example of associates. Some of these corporate chains say that if there's a 5 millimeter pocket or more, you have to put a chip in the perio pocket, like a Reston or minocycline or something like that, and they don't agree. Some of them get violent because corporate makes them give all adults a fluoride treatment, and then it's not covered by the insurance. So then you come in and get a cleaning because your insurance pays 100%. Then I tell you, you got to give me $15 out of pocket because I had you switch to fluoride. So then 4 times a day, there's a confrontation over 15, and they just get sick of it. Or, it's one thing to do to be scheduled an hour to do an MOD composite on 2 and 3 and a DO on 4. But it's a whole nother thing to be scheduled an hour with my assistant. Every time I go in here, it's a different dental assistant, and this dental assistant doesn't know crap about anything, and she's basically can't even suction and retract. And so finally it's a stressful job because you got a person that you got to give a shot, do surgery on, drill on their teeth, repair it, and now I got an assistant who doesn't know what day it is. I wanted these burrs, and they're not in the burr block, and so finally they just say the hell with this whole thing, and they walk out. So again, in numbers on this chairside scanning, what % of dental offices went with digital X-rays?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's when you say it's. I mean, what would you guess? What would your gut feeling be for America?
Maybe 80%.
Yeah, it is. It's 80%. So 4 out of 5 dentists went with digital X-rays. And chairside milling has been around as long or longer than digital X-rays. I mean, they had chairsides. Serac was in France going strong when I was in dental school. And so, what % have chairside milling?
30%.
It's more like 15%.
15. Wow.
So if chairside milling was perfect for everyone, then you'd have an adoption rate like digital X-rays, and you don't see that. Same thing with CBCT. I mean, CBCT, yeah, it's great, but I've already read several articles on especially for orthodontists. They're saying, okay, it's one thing when you're an implant surgeon, but dude, you're an orthodontist, and this guy did a paper saying, show me where the pano and the ceph was change your treatment plan when you saw it in 3D, and he can't get any orthodontist to show them the case where. Oh, the pano and ceph, I was going to do this. But as soon as I saw it in 3D, I did this. It's like, okay, so that doesn't exist. So you're telling me I got to upgrade my 20-year-old pano and ceph to a $120,000 CBCT, but you can't show me one case where the 3D changed my mind on the ortho case.
Now, it would be another thing if you could print your aligners from that.
Oh, take a CBCT and print the aligners?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
maybe in the future.
So that's the oral scanning.
Okay.
And I think the oral scanning, whether it be True Def from 3M or what's the one from Denmark, Copenhagen, 3Shape from Denmark, because what I'm seeing is when you scan it and you see your prep 40 times larger. I've never done that and not been embarrassed, and gone back and smoothed out and all this stuff like that. But the labs are telling me that they have a 6% remake on a vinyl polysiloxane or polyether impression and a 1% remake on the scan. So obviously, I think it's because the dentist with his ape eyes, I mean, obviously, if you go from looking at it with your natural eyes to looking at it with loops on, I mean, the fastest way you can increase your quality is get everybody in the office, the dental assistant, the hygienist, the dentist, to all wear loops of 2.5 or greater. And if the assistant can see better, she doesn't leave excess cement on a temporary crown. If the hygienist can see better, she doesn't leave tartar. Everybody needs to see better. And then when you scan, you see that prep 40 times bigger. The best endodontists will drop a microscope and just look at like 8x into those clean canals. And they say that 1 out of every 10 times they look down in those clean canals, one of those canals they can see crap all the way down one side of the canal, and they didn't get it cleaned out, and they'll go back in there. Sometimes they'll go in there and see a missing canal. And not only it might be an MB2, it might be an MB3. I mean, it might be a fifth canal. So magnification is definitely greater. So I think that is around the corner. But again, it's one of those deals where as long as they're going to ask you for a $200 a month software charge, $200 a month, again, so let's look at that. So $200 a month times 12 months is $2,400. And then if I practice from 25 to 65, 40 years times 40, that's another $100,000.
It's amazing.
So how close are you to that decision?
How close? Probably a couple years off.
And what are you waiting for? I mean, what's going to change your mind?
Once I get a few more things worked out, I have a few other issues I want to deal with first. So,
with your practice you're managing?
Yes. I want to grow the practice a little bit more and get to the point where $200 a month won't be that much of a difference.
So when you're growing your practice, so what are you thinking? Are you thinking more marketing, more new patient? Are you willing to invest instead of an intral scanner? You're thinking about investing more in what, like marketing, advertising, facility?
Yeah, we focus a lot on internal marketing because it gets the best patients, and that's where we focus the most of our effort on. And then the external marketing, digital, is definitely replaced all our print ads, our yellow page ads, and I mean those are gone. So it's AdWords, Facebook ads, retargeting with the Facebook, and so those are our big pushes right now to get new patients.
Okay, so you're done with print, like postcards and yellow pages and newspapers and.
Well, every once in a while we'll do like a flyer drop, but it's a lot easier to try to do internal marketing and get your referral engine going than to drop $20,000 on flyers. So
what are you doing for your internal marketing? Do all of your employees have the Ask4Review.com app on their phone?
So the front desk have it on their phones, and we have an office cell phone too that they can use. Anyone can use. And we have a system, and everybody's trained.
So you have an office cell phone that you can hand them with the app on, and then have the patient do a review on your own office cell phone?
No, we want them to do it on their cell phone so that the location is their IP address is logged with the patient's phone number on it. So
okay,
yeah.
Now, is it a problem if their phone is on the your Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi.
But if their phone is on your office Wi-Fi, is that a red flag to Google and Yelp and Facebook that maybe this is an internally generated review and not real, or not really?
I don't really see a problem with that. It's more when you have your own tablet set up and you have 100 reviews coming from one IP address. Okay. I think that's going to be more of an issue.
So your front desk, walk it through on the internal marketing. How do you get your patients when they're leaving to go to Ask4Review.com?
So again, they look for a queue and they ask them. Do what?
And what would a queue be?
Like that was the best experience I've ever had. It was painless. I just love this office. I used to hate going to the dentist, and you guys are great. That's your cue to step in and say, we love patients like you. Can you write a review for us? And then you walk them out to the front desk, and that's when the front desk takes over and sends them their review request, and the patient has an easy way to write the review at that point. They just click a link. It takes them directly to the review site. There's no gates. There's no ratings to filter out bad reviews, or because you don't really need that if you're looking for quality, not quantity. You're picking the low-hanging fruit. You're really asking your best patients for reviews that you know that like you. So we're going for quality over quantity, and so that's where I kind of go against the grain. I don't believe you need 1,000 reviews. Like, no one's going to sit there and read 1,000 reviews. They're going to scan through the first page or two, maybe the first couple, and see that you're a decent person. You're not going to hurt them. It provides social proof that you should call this dentist.
And that's what it is. It's social proof. It's herd mentality. It's like, I got to make this decision about something I don't understand. Like I don't. If I take my car into the shop and he says I need to change my transmission fluid, I mean, I'm not even sure I know what a transmission is or what it does.
Sure.
I mean, I grew up with 5 sisters playing Barbie dolls till I was 12. I never ever changed the oil or spark plugs like all normal people do growing up in Kansas. So I would just like to have some social proof. My social proof is that, well, I'm taking it to the dealer where I bought my car from, and I'm thinking they might treat me like a VIP because that's where I bought my damn car. I mean, when I take my car in there, and what I like most about my dealer is every time I take my car in, it's the same guy. I mean, I bought that car there in 2005, and now it's 12 years later, and my car's got 150,000 miles on it. And when I first went in there, he didn't have any kids. Now he's got 3 kids. I mean, so I trust that if they kept him there from 2005 to 2007, they must be good people at the dealer.
Sure.
Because
that's
he's a nice
fantastic.
guy.
That's great.
And he's married. He's got kids, and they're able to attract and retain and keep him for a decade. And so this is just social proof. So
and that's kind of that story is kind of why I did this. I went to a new optometrist, and they rushed me through the office. They kicked me out of the door, and then I sit down in my car and I look down at my phone, and I already had review requests. And it annoyed me that they didn't take the time to build a relationship or even provide outstanding care. They just asked me for something. And then it annoyed me even more that we were probably doing it to our patients. And I'm pretty sure the other officers are doing similar things. So I kind of wanted to get away from the completely automated systems and go for this.
Well, I think that is what you're saying is profound. Is staff probably doesn't like the management who's saying ask every single person for a review, and you're saying you don't need 1,000 reviews, and what you're saying is wait for a queue and then close the deal. And you didn't give your optometrist a queue. You didn't tell them that was the greatest experience ever, and then they're asking you for something. In fact, I would think that would almost I'm surprised it didn't cause you to do a negative review, that you went out there and said,
it annoys patients.
Yeah, that I was rushed, and I would, and then imagine that someone has a bad experience, but your office protocol is to ask everybody for a review, and then someone came in and it was a bad experience, which is totally, we can argue facts. We can argue whether or not today is August 10th at 12:08 p.m. at lunchtime, but we can't argue how you make me feel. And if you made me feel bad and I didn't like this experience, and then you automatically send me a deal for a review, I think I'd be more likely to say, yeah, this place sucks. I wouldn't send my worst friend here. And you're saying wait for a queue, and that these reviews are so important because I just want some social proof that this is a good guy. Now, I have to be honest with you. I've never read a review in my life. I mean, I'm 54. I've never read a review. And I also, the one I'm least sensitive to reviews, don't even want to hear, is movie reviews. Because in my 54 years, all the movies had the greatest reviews. All that means there's a bunch of car chases, a bunch of people are shot, 100 people are killed with a machine gun, and it's a family film. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger Rocky, take your whole family to this violent. And it seems like every movie I liked the most did not get good reviews. And the last one I saw that was just amazing was The Founder. What was that guy's name? He was in Jackie Brown too. What was that? What was that guy's name? Keating, or did you see The Founder?
I didn't.
Michael Keating. Michael Keaton. Have you heard of him before?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, he just crushed Ray Kroc. I mean, that was. Did you see him in Jackie Brown, or is that before your time?
No, before my time.
Yeah, Jackie Brown was probably his first great film. That was just a great film. And but he did The Founder. I actually met Ray Kroc, and my dad had 9 Sonics. Roger Carpenter had 100. Jim Williams had 1,000. That same church. Dan and Beverly Carney, they start founders of Pizza Hut. They had 2,800 stores. And so I grew up in that fast food franchise era when a small town got their first Pizza Hut or Sonic or whatever. It was like really cool. I mean, that was a hot summer when it's 1972 and you're in Abilene, Kansas, and Sonic Drive-In rolls into your town, and now you have cheeseburgers and footlong chili dogs and cherry limeades. I mean, that was more exciting than Facebook. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so these guys were legends. And but anyway, the point about the reviews is, I think movie reviews. Same thing with Broadway plays. They'll tell you this is the greatest play in the world. I've walked out during the intermission at about half the Broadway plays I've ever gone to. And but what was that one? What was that one I say what was the one that was so great? Wicked. Did you see Wicked?
I haven't watched many movies lately.
No, that's a Broadway play.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was the first Broadway play I ever got to in my life where not only did I stay all the way to the end, but when it was over, I literally jumped to my feet in applause. I mean, that was the most and it was just a genius plot. So you have the Wizard of Oz movie, right?
Right.
And everybody knows the Wizard of Oz movie. So if you did the Wizard of Oz, the play's predictable, and you kind of, it's kind of like watching the movie Titanic. You kind of know in the back of the head it's going to hit an iceberg and sink. I mean, you just,
Right.
Even if you missed that class in high school, you still kind of have a feeling this boat's going to sink. But what they did is they said, okay, well, at the beginning of the Wizard of Oz, you got these 4 characters. Well, where did the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow? So they developed those characters for the 10 years before. So
nice.
The end of the play is the beginning of the Wizard of Oz. And it was just so damn cool because by knowing the movie, The Wizard of Oz, you kind of know where these characters are going. So the play's easier to follow. You're not sitting there in the middle of the play like lost and confused or like what the hell's going on. You know where they're going to end up. So it was really easy to follow. Just a great play. But social proof is what they need. You're saying, I love what you're doing. It's free. It's wait for a social cue. I imagine staff, since every practice management consultant has never seen a staff member, including dentists, ask for a referral. Every single consultant that we've interviewed on Dentistry Uncensored says that every single office they go to, there's at least one toxic employee that needs to go, sometimes 2 or 3. And that's probably what's led you to the fact of needing a consultant is your own team, somebody sabotaging the entire team, which has probably got you to the point. And sabotage, they just won't do their job. This is why your overhead's high, your supplies are crazy, something's wrong.
Sure.
And then the other thing is no one's ever seen to ask for a referral. And what you're saying, well, don't ask for a referral until you see a cue that they were pleased. They just come out there and said, oh my God, that was great. And I love it when you hand them the mirror and some of these girls, like 5 tears will shoot out of their eyeball like a machine gun because they knew when you worked on their front tooth, when they broke their front tooth, they knew it was going to be ugly. It was going to be like looking at a man with a bad wig on. And, there's going to be a black line. It was going to be ugly, and it's their front tooth. And then they see that it's just freaking bullseye. And they either go verklempt, sometimes they cry, and that's when you say, oh, my God, can you do me a huge favor, please? Will you get on your phone? So do you have them download the phone, the app to their phone and write a review, or do you just have them go to Ask4Review.com?
No. So the front desk team member would send the patient a text or email.
Okay,
So the patient would get a text or email on their phone.
So when they're back there and you hand them the mirror and they go verklempt or cry, that's when you I'd have the assistant in the room.
Sure, that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, let's just do it right now in the chair while you're crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
There's no problem with that.
And you'd rather have 10 of those.
Oh, yeah. Then 100 of great dentists, outstanding dentists, all 5-star reviews. They all say like 1 or 2 words. It kind of rubs me as almost fake. And it doesn't tell a story. It doesn't connect with you. So I would definitely rather have 10 quality reviews.
And the reason I think these reviews are so, oh my God, we've gone 7 minutes over. I didn't know we were, my God, I'm talking to you. And the next thing I know, we're 10 minutes over. The thing where I know this is important is because everybody talks about it. We know that women make 91% of all the appointments. That's worst case scenario. I've seen studies as high as 93 and 94% of appointments made by women. We know the women are saying 7,500 words or more a day. The men are saying 1,800 words a day or less. And as a 54-year-old man, I've never looked at a review, and I've never seen another dentist that I go drinking with, watching Cardinals football games, ever look at Yelp. I mean, I've never been with 5 dentists in a car, and someone said, "Well, let's get a Yelp review." I mean, we're going to this bar, we're watching the, I've just never witnessed it one single time. But I'm not the market that's making all the appointments, and I'm also thinking maybe all this review stuff is maybe it's more a millennial thing, and maybe it's more a woman thing. And you always know in business, the worst thing you can do in business is bring your own bias to the marketplace. Like maybe open up a restaurant and your favorite dressing is French dressing. And French dressing might not be 1% of the market. You know it's going to be ranch and blue trees and vinaigrette, whatever the hell. And so you always got to be aware of your own bias. And I know my own bias is I have nothing to do with reviews. But that's not the market. Do you think the market, do you think it's correct that it's more a woman thing and more a millennial thing and less a male baby boomer thing?
I'm sure it's weighted towards that. I feel like the 20 to 40-year-old female market are definitely checking reviews. So when we ask new patients that have come from referrals, they're still checking reviews. Whether you like it or not, they're Googling, they're looking up, trying to find information on you. And if they see 4 stars or above, then they're more than likely going to give you a chance. If it's lower than 4, then it's going to decrease the conversion rate a little bit. So it's definitely something that's important and something that most dentists should address.
Well, I believe I have some own proof for my own business. I wrote a book, Uncomplicate Business, and the sales, it's been out for 2 years. And the sales are actually going up and up and up. And I think it's because of I think there's something like 55 5-star reviews and only like 1 4-star review. And I think as I keep getting these all 5-star reviews, it's making people buy the book, because I think I'm selling more books now 2 years later with 55 5-star reviews than I was when it first came out with no reviews. I mean, I see that with my own book.
Sure, it's validation that you know what you're talking about. Of course you do, but it's just further proof.
They need social proof.
Yes.
Well, hey, man, I'm Austin. I am so honored that you came on the show today. I'm so, man, what a cool guy to write this for free, to save my homies $200 a month, $2,400 a year, and over $100,000 from age 25 to 65. Final question.
Sure.
What about all my homies that are in school, in dental school right now? They don't even know where they're going to practice. They don't know what's going to go on. Is there anything they can start doing to gaming their reviews?
Sure. They can use the app to gather testimonials from their existing patients. So they're motivated. They're doing great care on their patients. So why not start getting reviews showing that you're a decent person? So when you go on an interview, you can say,
would that review be on their Facebook page, or if you're in dental school, would you recommend they just start their own website, austinbrown.com, so they have reviews linked?
Well, they can actually use the app and keep them within the app, so they can give a link to when they apply for a job, they can give a link that the dentist can look at and see their 20 reviews from their happy dental school patients.
And then upload that to their new employment place?
Well, they can show it to them, and then the employer can link to the Ask4Review website that has all the testimonials on. Or they can create a Facebook or Google brand page or whatever they'd like to do and keep them out in the open. But if they like to just have their own pot of reviews, that's another option.
Okay, well, dude, love you to death. Love what you're doing for dentistry. Thanks for being on Dental Town. Thanks for coming on the show. Thank you so much for coming on and spending an hour with my homies today.
Thanks for having me, and it's been an amazing experience. Thanks a lot.
All right. Give Amy my love, and good luck on those 2 kids.
I will. Take care.